The richest person in the room probably doesn't look like the richest person in the room. And if you can't spot them, they're probably way wealthier than you think. Because real wealth has a completely different look than what you've been taught to recognize. Hey, before we dive in, I gotta be clear about something. I'm not a financial advisor. Everything you're about to hear is purely educational content. Most people think wealthy means flashy, expensive car, designer clothes, Rolex watch, gold jewelry, the stuff that screams money. But that's not wealth. That's consumption. That's someone who makes good money but spends all of it trying to look wealthy. Those people are usually drowning in debt. Real wealth looks completely different. Real wealth is invisible. And once you know what to look for, you start seeing it everywhere. Let's start with the most obvious sign. They wear basic clothes. The wealthy person is wearing a plain white t-shirt and jeans that cost maybe $40. No logos, no brands, nothing that announces they have money. Why? Because they don't need to announce it. They already know it. Someone making 200 grand a year wearing a Gucci belt is telling you they're insecure about their wealth. Someone worth 50 million wearing regular clothes is comfortable enough to not care what anyone thinks. The confidence difference is night and day. This is why billionaires look so boring. Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray t-shirt every day. Warren Buffett still wears suits he's owned for decades. They're not trying to impress anyone because they're already at the top. But here's what's wild. Most people miss this completely. They see boring clothes and they assume the person is poor or struggling. They see flashy clothes and they assume wealth. It's exactly backwards. Next sign. They ask good questions instead of giving opinions. Wealthy people listen. They're curious. They ask follow-up questions. They're trying to understand how things work, what problems exist, where opportunities might be. Someone who's insecure about their position talks constantly. They give opinions on everything. They need to prove they know things. They're trying to establish status. But the wealthy person doesn't need to establish anything. So they listen. And listening is how you learn. And learning is how you find opportunities that most people miss. This is subtle, but once you notice it, you see it constantly. The quiet person in the meeting who asks one perfect question that changes the entire discussion, that person probably has money. Third sign. They talk about time like it's their most valuable resource. Poor people talk about money. They complain about rent. They obsess over bills. They make financial decisions based on saving a few dollars. Money is their constraint. Everything revolves around it. Wealthy people talk about time. They're protecting their calendar. They're paying other people to do things they don't want to do. They're saying no to opportunities that would make money but waste time. This is a massive mindset shift. Once you're wealthy enough, time becomes more valuable than money. You'll pay extra to save time. You'll turn down profitable opportunities that don't fit your schedule. When you hear someone say they can't afford something, but it's not about money, that's probably a wealthy person. They literally can't afford the time. Their hourly rate is so high that paying for convenience is actually cheaper than doing it themselves. Fourth sign, they own assets, not stuff. There's a difference between owning things and owning assets. Things depreciate. Cars, clothes, furniture, electronics. The moment you buy them, they lose value. Assets appreciate. Real estate, stocks, businesses, intellectual property, these go up in value over time. Wealthy people own assets. Poor people own stuff. This is why you can tell wealth by what someone owns, not how much they spent. Someone with $50,000 in jewelry is broke. Someone with $50,000 in rental property income is wealthy. The wealthy person's garage might have an old car, but their portfolio has multiple rental properties. The wealthy person wears a $200 watch, but they own $500,000 in stocks. Fifth sign, they have systems instead of doing things themselves. Wealthy people automate their lives. Bill payment is automatic. Investing is automatic. They set systems up once and then it just runs. They've engineered their life so that money flows and grows without them having to think about it. Poor people handle everything manually. They pay bills by hand every month. They save money randomly when they remember. They have no system, so nothing compounds. Everything requires active effort. This is why wealthy people can actually relax. Their money is working on autopilot. Poor people are constantly working because they haven't built systems to work for them. Sixth sign, their network is their net worth. Rich people know other rich people. They know investors, entrepreneurs, business owners. They're connected to people doing interesting things. Poor people know poor people. They're connected to other people in their same situation. Their network doesn't change their circumstances. It reflects them. If you want to know someone's financial future, look at their 5 closest friends. That's probably where they're headed. Rich people understand this. So they invest in their network. They build relationships with successful people. The wealthy person seems to know everyone and have connections everywhere. That's not luck. That's intentional relationship building, and it's one of the most valuable assets you can have. Seventh sign. They talk about compounding like it's the only thing that matters. Wealthy people obsess over long-term growth. They're thinking in decades, they're not trying to make a quick buck. They're trying to build exponential returns through compound interest over time. Poor people think short term. They want to make money fast. They take on risky investments trying to get rich quick. They're always looking for the shortcut, but there is no shortcut. Wealth is compounding. It's boring and it's slow, but it's unstoppable if you give it time. When you hear someone say they're not in a rush, that they're playing the long game, that they're thinking about what things will look like in 20 years, that's probably someone building real wealth. The thing is, none of these signs cost money. None of them require you to already be rich. You can start adopting these behaviors right now. You can start wearing basic clothes. You can start listening more and talking less. You can start thinking about assets instead of stuff. The wealthy person didn't start wealthy. They started by thinking like a wealthy person. And the thinking came before the money. If you want to understand how to think like wealthy people think, how to build the mindset that actually creates wealth instead of just chasing it, hit subscribe, because these signs are everywhere once you know what to look for.